Coming up on Double Tap TV.
Apple's got a new iPhone, Apple Watch, and TV service. We dive in and go behind the scenes on one of their brand new shows.
The latest tech.
Second place, with a total of 5 points.
Interviews.
The most useful product we can at the lowest possible price.
Accessibility.
I'm loving it and I'm sticking with it.
This is Double Tap TV.
Welcome to another edition of Double Tap TV. I am Marc Aflalo with Stephen Scott. So happy to be with you guys. Stephen, how do people get in touch with us if they want to send us an email or maybe get in touch on social media?
Well, loads of different ways, of course. You can email us feedback at AMI.ca, or you can, of course, find us on Twitter at Double Tap Canada. And remember our new hashtag as well. If you have a question for us that you'd like answered, then ask Double Tap. Simple as that. Hashtag ask Double Tap. We'd love to hear from you.
Stephen, we've got an awesome show lined up for you guys. Obviously, we're going to be talking about brand new iPhones.
Of course.
And the Apple Watch Series 5 and Apple TV Plus. But first, Stephen, we've got to talk about everything that Apple announced. Clearly, it starts with... Let's start with the Apple Watch, because I think it's there on your wrist, isn't it?
It's on my wrist right now. I've got the Series 5. I've got the stainless steel in black. I thought I'd upgrade this time. And the reason I wanted this, I've actually had the Series 4. So you might think, well, what on earth would you want with the Series 5? Because really, other than a compass and an always-on Retina display, which I actually never turn on because I have screen curtain on, what's the point? Well, I bought it because it has cellular access. And that is something I'm really interested in, seeing how the watch can handle being on its own. What can I do with the watch on its own? Because oftentimes it's a lot easier for me when I'm out and about to just answer calls using my watch or send texts on my watch, and with my earpods in, life just gets so much easier. So I'm hoping that over the next few weeks I'll be able to report on how that is and how it feels. But I'll tell you something, on my wrist it feels lovely.
Well, you know, and other than that, quite honestly, other than the screen and the compass, nothing else has changed.
Nope.
Processor's the same battery life, because you've got it's got a bigger battery, but you've got an always-on display, so it compensates for that.
But hey, listen,
so
one more thing. I just want to say on this, the Apple Watch Series 3 bargain right now at $199.
Okay, we got to dive into these iPhones, because there are really 3 new iPhones, and we're going to change the view here. You're going to look down at my table. I've got 3 brand new iPhones right here.
Oh, you're so smug, aren't you?
So we've got the iPhone 11, which basically all the specs on these, other than the camera and the screens, are identical.
Yeah.
Same processor, same amount of RAM, same everything. So we start with, the product red version of the iPhone 11 I've got here. The first thing you notice when you open all 3 of these boxes is that the camera side is facing you. This obviously shows that they wanted to focus everything on the camera. Mm-hmm. There's not even a plastic film on this side. You get right into the beautiful, shiny, glossy screen on the iPhone 11, and that's another difference between the 11 and the 11 Pros, is that on the 11 you get the glossy glass and the camera has this matte glass, whereas on the iPhone 11 Pros they did the opposite. They went with a matte kind of glass on the actual back where your fingers are touching, so less fingerprints, and on the camera itself it's a nice shiny display.
Nice. Sounds lovely.
Inside the box, you've got your AirPods with the lightning connector over there. You've got the Apple Type A to the lightning cable, and you've got the regular power supply. But that's pretty much where the similarities end when it comes to these phones, because when you open the Pro here, and I've got a midnight green, which is the brand new color that I'm opening right here. Again, you see the camera system right away. You've got that 3-camera array. You've got that matte glass back, as I alluded to before. But inside the box, when you open it up, you get a fast charger, which has a USB Type-C connector, and a new cable, which is the USB Type-C to lightning adapter.
Tell us about that camera. How far out does it stick out at the back of the phone?
You know what? It's probably about 2 to 3 millimeters that it's sticking out. Whereas people said this was going to be a really ugly phone, this actually in your hand does not come across as ugly. The way they've done the two-tone glass is quite nice. They've got a beautiful stainless steel ring around each of the cameras. The array, yes, I think in pictures it all looked kind of wonky and people thought it was ugly, but they've executed this quite nicely. It doesn't stick out too much, and if you get an Apple case, or any case really, it's going to compensate for that bump, and you're not going to worry about it not being balanced on the table in front of you.
In terms of size, I mean, you've got the Pro. Have you got the Max there as well?
I've got the Max here as well. I'm going to open that pretty quickly because we're running out of time here. The Max, obviously a way bigger screen. You can see here that I actually have it on. Haven't actually set it up yet. The camera system is the exact same size. You've got a better battery life on this. Both phones are physically heavier and thicker. Noticeable, yes. A big significant change, not too much. I don't think anybody's going to be complaining too much about it. But the screen is so big on the Max.
Well, that's right, but of course, again, larger screen for people who are partially sighted, brilliant. The key takeaways, though, is better camera, which of course is great for those apps like Seeing AI and Be My Eyes and even Ira. And of course, that great battery life as well, additional 5 hours on those devices as well. So yeah, lots and lots in there worth looking at. But I think for most blind people, it's going to be the 11.
We're going to be using these over the next while, and we're going to report back about the various nuances. Obviously, we're going to talk all about iOS 13 in this episode as well. But let's take a quick break. Again, if you want to get in touch with us, the email address is feedback@ami.ca. The Twitter address is @DoubleTapCanada. We'll take a quick break. We're going to dive into Apple TV Plus, and we've got a very special guest right around the corner.
For more great Double Tap TV content, visit AMI.ca/DoubleTap. This is Double Tap TV.
We are back on Double Tap TV. I am Marc Aflalo with Stephen Scott. If you want to get in touch, of course, it's feedback@AMI.ca. On Twitter, it is @DoubleTapCanada, and use the hashtag AskDoubleTap so we can feature some of your questions, comments, videos, whatever you want on an upcoming show. Stephen, we're talking about the new iPhone, but one of the things that really got me excited about that Apple event, and of course the upcoming release, is on November 1st, we're going to see Apple TV Plus for the first time. And this service is not only unique because it features original Apple content, but there's some accessibility sides that really, really do kind of tickle our fancy, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is probably one of the best announcements from the whole event. I mean, I was excited by the new iPhones, of course, excited by the iPad and the new watch. But yeah, I'll be honest, the one that really stood out for me was this. Why? Well, from a visually impaired person's perspective, a lot of people might not think TV is the first place you would go to for entertainment, right? But actually, a lot of blind people love television, and I'm one of them. And one thing I love about TV is when it's audio described. Now, the good news is that the Apple TV Plus service, all of the content from launch and everything that it creates will be audio described in not one, Mark, but 8 languages. Incredible.
That's pretty insane considering that on Netflix, every single show has a different option, right? You never know what's going to be described in what language depending on where the show comes from. So having this from the start really is a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. In Netflix, if a show is in French, then the audio description is in French, which actually makes a lot of sense. But if that show is dubbed in English, you don't get an audio described version in English, which is a shame. So it means you miss a lot of shows. And the way it is for me, it's quite simple. If it ain't audio described, I ain't watching it. So yeah, this is a big announcement for me. And of course, all the shows will be captioned as well. Really important. And I hope in as many languages. Now with us to talk about this is Robin Christopherson from the UK organisation AbilityNet. Robin, good to have you here.
Really good to be on. Thanks for having me.
Now we're going to talk to you about some very specific projects that Apple have been working on this Apple TV service in a moment. But I just want to first of all get your thoughts on the event and the Apple TV announcement.
Yeah, I mean, the event, brilliant, new hardware, that's really good. I am somewhat of an Apple appreciator. Apple technology
Fanboy, yeah.
plays a very large part in my life. So yeah, but the TV Plus announcement, I think, was a very strong part of the event. So the price at $4.99 really surprised a lot of people. Now, it's not a Netflix competitor in as much as the amount of viewing. Like you said, there's not going to be that many titles available. You're certainly not going to get discounted access to rentals through iTunes, for example. But there will be several dozen shows trickling in over the months from November the 1st. And they will be all audio described, which, as you say, is an absolute given for me. I'm not going to listen or get much out of, enjoy listening to things that haven't got audio description. So I think that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to pick up on that point you said about the iTunes rentals. For people, I think people might get confused by this. And I did at the start. I kind of thought, oh, great, we're going to get the entire library of iTunes movies, TV shows, everything's going to be available for $4.99 a month. This is amazing. No more subscriptions, no more buying. It's not the case though, is it, Robin?
No, but I mean, what about if they brought out a higher tier? which did offer you half-price rentals or a number of free rentals a month, I would definitely go for that, because that would bridge that gap, certainly in the early stages where they haven't got a huge number of titles on there.
One of the programs they announced was C. And I think even before we dive into it, should we watch the trailer or take a listen to the trailer?
Yeah, let's watch it.
A raptor flies toward a broken bridge. A tether trails behind it. Titles, an Apple original.
Centuries from now, almost all humans have lost the ability to see.
A man with long hair leads a group of armed men.
Some say sight was taken from them by God
Now, the raptor glides toward a city.
to heal the earth. For the few who remain, vision is only a myth.
The man reaches out to read a marker with his hands.
But after so many years, the power of sight has returned.
A mother cradles a newborn baby.
What is it? Something's different. The children, they have the ability to see.
A baby stares up at the sky. Titles, from the producer of the Planet of the Apes trilogy.
Oh, my children. They have a power that we would call magical or evil.
We must protect them.
The director of The Hunger Games Catching Fire and Mockingjay.
For centuries, we feared this day would come. The evil of light once almost destroyed the world.
And the creator of Peaky Blinders.
And now it has returned. Find the children who can see and bring them to me.
A party rides horses through a forest. The man stands before a group.
Now they will come for us.
If we kill the babies, they might leave us alone.
No! I stand with Baba Voss!
Riders cross a snowy tundra. Baba Voss walks through a village. His people cross a shaky rope bridge high above a river. One person falls from the bridge.
These children are a gift.
The grown children read
They
books.
will bring knowledge. They will begin a new world.
Titles, The Only Way Forward is Together.
We are family. We are one, and we fight as one.
The girl child readies a bow and arrow. The boy smears his face with mud. Baba Voss leans forward, poised to strike. The enemy army creeps up a rocky slope. Baba Voss and his people charge the enemy. Jason Momoa.
I have to keep you safe.
Alfred Woodard.
The moment has come.
Baba Voss cuts the rope bridge.
It's astonishing how the smallest moment can change an entire world.
Baba Voss raises his head. Titles, C. Coming soon. An Apple TV Plus logo.
Well, there you go. That's one of the new shows that is coming to Apple TV Plus. It's called C. The service itself starts on November 1st, and we believe that that is going to be one of the main shows featured on the new service. Now, one of the reasons we have Robin Christopherson with us is because he's one of the people who got a bit of an inside view, and obviously I put that in inverted commas, Robin, an inside view of the process into making this particular show, because the makers actually approached you for advice. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, people who might have twigged that I can't see, because I've got no idea if I'm looking directly at the camera at this point. But yeah, I was one of the blind consultants that they called out during the event after the trailer that they approached, and I was very happy to go on site for 3 days with the writing team, with the director and the producer and the designer, and really thrash through the scripts that they had, the concept, both in small detail and kind of sweeping ideas about how a blind community would operate, how where blindness is completely normal and has been the norm for 600 years, what sort of coping strategies, adaptations, reasonable adjustments or accommodations would have naturally grown up over that time.
I think, though, Mark, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's so important that we get the impression of blindness right. And for someone like yourself who's fully sighted, you'll probably learn quite a lot from this, and it's important that you learn the right things, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you definitely want to make sure, or when you're creating a show like this, you want to make sure that everybody who watches this show, whether they can see it all or not, gets the right impression, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the importance of having people like Robin involved in that process. Robin, what were some of anything specific that popped out at you as almost a discovery or a moment that they realized this is going to be something different and they're going down the right path here?
Yeah, well, they were heavily into face touching in the original script, and I nixed that pretty quickly because, when you're blind, the last thing you want is people thrusting their fingers in your face unannounced. So there were some things that we wanted them to steer clear of. They wanted to have heavy usage of ropes around a village, for example, or any settlement, so that they could get around, but they had them at waist level, and that's not going to work because you don't want to be encountering those all the time. So we advised that they would have those a lot higher up, and that you could, maybe run a stick along them, and you'd also be able to hear people coming the other way because of the vibration through the rope of somebody else's stick. But if you just wanted to go across those ropes, from A to B, then you wouldn't be encountering them because they would be above head height, that sort of thing. Things like that, kind of a mixture of adaptation and that is what happens when you can't see. And similarly, in a society where nobody can see, you could have a lot of fun with societal norms of today. So, picking your nose or doing things much less socially acceptable than that even, isn't something you would do in public here. But in the future, when nobody can see, as long as you're not making any noise, you can do whatever you like. So I was encouraging them to have scenes sort of peppered with interesting things, almost incidental things in the background, say, where they would be completely normal in a society where nobody can see. So I was hoping that they would have a lot of fun with it too.
Listen, Robert, it's been great having you on. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. The show itself, C, is available from November 1st. On Apple TV Plus. Mark, it looks like it's going to be a big hit, especially for those who are missing Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly. And again, $4.99 a month, that's for the entire family, which is a great offering. Plus, if you do buy an Apple product, as Robin alluded to, you do get that for free. This is Double Tap TV. I am Marc Aflalo. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Stephen. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to get to some of your feedback on iOS 13.
Love Double Tap TV? Listen to AMI Audio for Double Tap Canada every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern for news and reviews on everything tech. This is Double Tap TV.
Welcome back to Double Tap TV. I am Marc Aflalo with Stephen Scott. Stephen, so many ways for people to get in touch with us, including that new hashtag AskDoubleTap. Let them know the email address and the Twitter handle, will you?
Yeah, sure. So the email address is feedback@AMI.ca. You can get us on Twitter as well. Just search for @DoubleTapCanada.
That's pretty easy. And of course, there's so many ways that people send us stuff. We've received videos before. People obviously email us. But here's an audio clip of a message someone left us. Take a listen.
My favorite features on iOS 13 are 1. The Shortcuts app. I like how deeply integrated with the iOS the shortcuts are right now. I also like how you can use Siri to do most things, and there's also a possibility for third-party developers to have custom actions invoked by Siri, so I like all of that. And secondly, I like how Safari has a download manager right now. You can download stuff directly from Safari and transfer it to the Files app or even the Dropbox or anything connected to the Files app.
You know, Stephen, part of every new Apple launch comes that new software, and you and I have been living with iOS 13 for quite a while now in beta form, but people out there who have brand new iPhones or their existing iPhones have only had it for a couple weeks now. So I'm curious, from your point of view, what's your favorite new feature that iOS 13 brings to the table?
Am I allowed two?
Okay, you can do two. I'll accept that.
Okay, so one's...
Okay,
thank you. I am so honoured. The first one, it isn't really a feature, if I'm honest, but it is important, and that is where accessibility now lives. Before, you would go into your Settings app, you would go to General, and in there you would find accessibility. That's changed. They've moved it out of those under the General tab, and now it's actually in the main part of the app. So when you go into Settings, you'll find accessibility much more easily. And of course, the purpose of that is to make accessibility up front so that everyone can use it. So even you, even humble little you, Mark, can use accessibility. You're allowed. You're part of the family now.
Finally.
Yeah, exactly. You're welcome. So that's great. But yeah, the main feature for me is one which might seem a bit strange. It's called voice control. Now, this feature is essentially built for people who have got motor issues or any kind of, maybe someone's paralyzed, unable to move. This feature is built for them. You can use your phone completely independently of your hands. I mean, that is incredible, right? Off the bat, you're like, what? How does that work?
Yeah, exactly.
But ultimately, you
exactly.
just
So how does
you just
that work?
talk. You just talk to your device, right? So you just speak to it. You might say, go to messages icon. Of course, a voiceover user, someone who's blind, might think, well, that's not much use to me because I need that audible feedback of what's going on. Well, hey, here's the thing. This is why it's interesting to us blind people, and in particular me, is that you can actually use it with voiceover. So it works in tandem with voiceover. So a couple of ways you can use this. Let's think of the kind of really neat ways this could work. Let's say you want to send a message to someone, or check, actually maybe better to say check messages, read a message and then reply to it using your iPhone whilst your hands are in the sink while you're washing some dishes, right? You can summon Siri by saying HEY Siri on your phone and say turn on voice control. With VoiceOver on, you can then command your phone to go to the Messages app, open the Messages app, swipe right, and the way you would with your finger, just say the words, swipe right, and it will do the same action that I would do using VoiceOver physically on the screen, and it might say, message from Marc Aflalo, where are you? You're late for the show again, and then I can say, double tap, and I can say, go to message field, double tap, open up the keyboard, start typing, and go through this process all while my hands are in the sink, getting soapy water all over them. That is quite incredible, and it does open up a whole world of opportunities. Of course, this is built for people who have got motor and dexterity issues, and this is going to change lives without the shadow of a doubt. A friend of mine said to me his sister is blind and has MS, and that has rendered her unable to move. She is going to be able to use an iPhone, for the first time in her life, completely independently. I mean, it is just incredible. It's an amazing feature. It's part of the accessibility functions, which you'll find now by going into the Settings app.
I love that they've made accessibility more accessible, which is kind of funny in itself, but it's obviously extremely useful for people whether they have a disability or not. My favorite feature is really more, I guess, a service, and it's CarPlay.
Okay.
Apple introduced CarPlay about 2 to 3 years ago, and they never really updated the interface or the way in which it works. So it was a little clunky. For example, if a message would come in, it would overlap the screen and you would lose directions if you're trying to use your GPS to go somewhere. Also, your phone screen would constantly mimic what was on CarPlay, so you could never just switch your phone to messages to read a message and have it actually, copy that behavior on the actual screen. They've revamped the interface entirely. You get an option between this kind of dashboard view, which shows you a persistent map along with latest notifications, or you can go back to the individual tile layout, which is really cool. And overall, the functionality has become a lot smarter. If you do use Siri, you can get more contextual information based on what's going on, and things like notifications don't actually interrupt you. Plus, you can actually control certain settings like do not disturb while driving. Finally, you can actually do that on the screen itself. It was actually kind of funny and ironic that you still had to use your phone to turn on do not disturb while driving as opposed to use it on the screen.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which is funny in itself, but it's very cool to see that available. So cars that do have support for CarPlay, the interface is completely different. I know some people, when they first released the new iPhone, and of course iOS 13, they didn't even realize that CarPlay was overhauled until they plugged it in a week later when I said, hey, have you seen CarPlay? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, plug it in, guys. You're going to want to use this now, whereas before it was a little clunkier. So it is quite cool.
And it works with VoiceOver as well. And you might think, well, how does that work? Because, I don't know many blind drivers. No, that's true. But it does work because, you know what? Blind people can have wives and husbands, or both these days. Hey, it's possible. So, you could be in a situation where you've got your wife or husband driving your car that you might have bought because you love cars. A lot of blind people like that. You can use CarPlay as well. And why not? That's what I love about Apple, ultimately. Their focus on accessibility. It goes beyond accessibility. It actually builds in fun. That's what I love. It's that fun aspect of life because, life as a blind person can be difficult and all the rest, but it can also just sometimes you just want to have some fun. And that's what this technology allows us to do. It enables us, which is brilliant.
At Double Tap Canada on Twitter, it is feedback@AMI.ca, and use that hashtag Ask Double Tap. It'll allow us to narrow down the field and maybe use and feature one of your questions on an upcoming show.
Yeah, you could be on the show. Ask questions. That's what it's all about. And no question is too silly here, okay? Trust me. I'm not a smart person. I don't ask smart questions. Mark knows this. So, don't worry about it. Ask the question. And like I say, if we don't know the answer, we will find the person who does.
Thank you for being here this week. On behalf of Stephen Scott, I am Marc Aflalo. We will speak to you again next week.
For more great Double Tap TV content, visit AMI.ca/DoubleTap.
Hosted by Marc Aflalo and Stephen Scott. Contributor Robin Christofferson. Editing Marc Aflalo and Will Attar. Integrated Describe Video Specialist Ron Rickford. Coordinating Producer Jennifer Johnson. Director Production Karen Nye. Director Programming Brian Perdue. VP Programming and Production John Melville. President and CEO David Arrington. Copyright 2019. Accessible Media Inc.